Every family's different when it comes to what's important. For some, when it comes to education, certain people believe that it's one of the most important things for anybody to pursue. And why not? Many people have had to give up on the opportunity to continue their education as a result of becoming a parent and not getting enough support, and so they decide to put that part of their lives on hold. However, that doesn't mean to say that the opportunity's lost, and many parents realize that as their children get older. Being a parent isn't always easy, and it sometimes means having to put your own thing aside so you can be there for your kid. Naturally, some things are more important than others, and there are just some things you just can't miss if you can help it, like your child's graduation ceremony. However, what if your own graduation ceremony was happening at the same time? Hello, wonderful people. I'm Scott Leffler for WonderBot. And here is, Mother couldn't believe what happened when she attended her son's graduation instead of her own. Before we begin, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos. It's not uncommon that some parents decide to go back into education when their kids begin their own school journey. It's a moment in time where teenagers can fend for themselves, and they're at that age where they don't want help anyway, sometimes no matter how hard you try. It also sets a great precedent, in a way, since they'll be an active role model when it comes to doing your work. It's a tough decision, but sometimes you just have to make it, or you'll be waiting forever. This mom took the plunge and dove straight into education, working on getting her bachelor's degree at the same time as her son. It's a tough decision, deciding to do a degree. They're not cheap and they're not easy to obtain. However, she knew her son worked hard, and she was ready to work just as hard to get her degree as well. This mom was prepared to take anything on and be there for her children too. In many ways, they'd keep her going too. However, she had no idea that she would literally be at the same milestone as her son, Stefan. Both mom, Sharonda, and her son, Stefan, had been working hard for many years. In fact, Stefan had been working on his bachelor's for 5 years. Working side by side for several years, both had finally made it to the point where they would graduate. All that was left was the ceremony, which is a major part of an incredibly commemorative experience for those who participate. It's the end of a tough journey and a celebration of everything you've achieved. However, sometimes things don't always work out as well as they could. And Sharonda was about to be faced with some disappointing news. Sharonda was no doubt ecstatic that her son, Stefan, would finally be graduating, and she wouldn't miss it for the world. However, Sharonda found out the date of her graduation, and when she did, her heart dropped. It turned out that her graduation was arranged for the same date and time as her son's. This was devastating. Sharonda had worked so hard to get where she was. She dreamed of having her family watch as she graduated. While this was important to her, she'd already made up her mind. She was a mom, and she knew she was going to attend her son's graduation rather than her own. She was a proud mom, and nothing was going to hold her back. However, that didn't stop a part of her from being upset that she would not ever get to graduate officially after working so hard. It was tough to push it from her mind. However, as far as she knew, nothing could be done, and she had to forget about her own wants for now. Sharonda had watched her son work so hard at Central Michigan University that she wasn't going to miss it for the world. She'd supported him by promoting his recitals on her Facebook and made sure people knew where to find her son. Stefan was studying musical theater, which is incredibly competitive, but he seemed to thrive along with his classmates. However, when Stefan got the news that his mom couldn't attend her own graduation, he was beside himself. Sharonda and Stefan are incredibly close, so when Stefan found out his mom couldn't attend her own graduation and he wouldn't be able to cheer her on from the crowds, he was also devastated. He didn't know what he could do that would help her either. However, the two knew they were faced with an unfair situation. They also knew there was nothing they could do about it. They just had to wait for graduation day and make the best out of a bittersweet situation. Their luck was about to change with nothing less than a social media post. Naturally, the upset son took to Facebook in order to express how upset he was that they were in this situation, especially as this didn't just affect him, but other family and friends who were happy for them both. However, everyone on his friend list could see the post, and one of those friends worked in the office of President Davies at Central Michigan University as a student worker. They decided to share the story with the president of the university. It was graduation day. Stefan had his cap and gown ready, and he was more than prepared to graduate. Sharonda was proud of her son, And while she did not put on her own cap and gown, she was excited to watch as her son walked down the aisle and received a certificate. The two took their places. Stefan prepared to graduate like every other student, and Sharonda prepared to watch on as the ceremony took place, just like every other parent. Little did they know that someone behind the scenes had organized something that would surprise them both. Neither mother nor son knew what was coming next. As the two had accepted the situation life put them in. However, sometimes miraculous things happen for the better, as someone had arranged a surprise for the pair of them. Someone wanted to give them both the memory of a lifetime, and they had no idea up until the very moment. It turns out that from the Facebook post and Stefan's friend working in President Davies' office, that a little behind-the-scenes magic had taken place. Once Davies had heard about what was happening, he quickly got in touch with a man called David Eisler. David Eisler is the president of Ferris State University, which is where Sharonda had studied for several years. It was also where she was supposed to graduate. The two came up with a plan that would surprise both Stefan and Sharonda. Ari Harris, who's a spokesman for CMU, explained how quickly it all came together once the two presidents got in touch. They knew this was a big moment for both mother and son and wanted to make sure both their students got the recognition they deserved. Their plan was going to be a total surprise if they could pull it off. According to Ari Harris, the whole thing was a very fast turnaround as they had to act quickly to make it work. Both Stefan and Sharonda had no idea they'd be graduating together until the very last moment. Every detail was perfect and well thought out. Sharonda was handed a graduation cap of her own. This probably confused her at first. After all, shouldn't that be handed to her son? However, it started to become clear that things weren't going the usual way, and actually, Sharonda didn't have to totally sideline her achievement after all. Well, no one was more shocked than Sharonda. It was her son, Stefan, who erupted in tears of joy, knowing that his mom didn't have to give everything up. He couldn't stop a part of himself feeling guilty before, but now he knew that she would have this moment to remember. Stefan and Sharonda are incredibly close, so sharing this moment with his mom was a memory he would cherish forever. Sharonda was handed her cap and asked to stand. Both mother and son stood in front of the university president as he said the words that would change everything for them both. On behalf of both the Central Michigan University and Ferris State University, President Davies officially graduated Sharonda Wilson. Sharonda was instructed to move her graduation tassel from the right of her cap to the left of her cap to signify that she had officially graduated. Stefan lovingly touched his mom's cap as she moved it from the right to the left. There was nothing more heartwarming than watching a mother and son celebrate their hard-earned achievements together. But what was more tear-jerking was how emotional Stefan got for his mom. Her son had nothing but tears and gleeful grins as he figured out what was going on. It was like music to his ears. His mom had graduated with her Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, while Stefan had finally achieved his Bachelor of Arts in Music Theater. Their moment had been documented forever. They'd heard the crowds cheer for them, and they both celebrated a milestone achievement. However, it was now time for Stefan to get on stage and show everyone what he was made of. It was an honor for Stefan to be chosen to sing in front of his fellow graduates and their parents, but it was something he had to prepare for. He readied himself and prepared to blow everyone's minds. Stefan barely had time to prepare for what was to come, since it seemed everyone wanted to know about himself and his mom. However, at first he didn't have a moment to lose as he was about to embark on the journey of a lifetime. He was going to the CMU School of Music Chamber to begin his multi-state music tour. His dream is to do what he loves, and that's precisely what he did after graduation. After the event, people were keen to know how the mother and son felt about what had just happened. After all, that kind of thing doesn't happen every day. It was a once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing. Stefan eventually returned and was more than happy to express himself. He explained that Davies had really shocked him. He never saw it coming. However, he's grateful to a friend of his for working her magic to make it happen. This was a collaboration of kindness to bring happiness to Sharonda and Stefan. Stefan goes on to say how his mother is the strongest and most compassionate woman that he knows. This is the voice of a son who truly adores his mother, and it's clear the two value each other and everything they do. Stefan goes on to say that the moment in particular actually tops any other moment that he shared with her. The tears streaming down his face certainly supports that. It's something they'll never forget. Stefan didn't just earn the honor of graduating with his mom, but he's worked hard on other things throughout his college experience too. In a Facebook post, he explains to his friends that he was approached to co-author an essay. This is some seriously big news, and Stefan was able to co-author the essay Belonging, Theatrical Representation on a University Campus, which was selected for presentation at the annual SETC Theater Symposium. Any student knows what a high honor and tough task this would have been. Graduation is a celebration of all the hard work a student has done in order to achieve their degree. However, what comes next is just as daunting, if not more, than starting your first day of college. Stefan had worked so hard that he gained some serious recognition. He was offered his first professional acting contract at Charleston Stage in Charleston, South Carolina. No doubt, when Stefan got the news that he'd have his first job lined up, he was stoked. People have praised the two universities for coming together and putting aside their differences to create this unforgettable moment. Not many colleges would have considered it important enough to even talk about, let alone act upon. Both Sharonda and Stefan have taken their next steps with their lives, moving on to do what they wanted to do. They also have the most incredible memory to keep forever. This mom may have been willing to give up her special day, but in the end, she didn't have to.